What felt like a useless piece of advice until you actually tried it? Story 1. Try killing roaches with soapy water in a spray bottle. It sounds useless, but it works better than any insecticide I've ever tried. And it's non-toxic and really easy to clean up. My dad once had a customer in a very run-down apartment complex. He went into a unit like that, typically in this apartment building, is crawling with roaches. A little old lady lived there and didn't notice a single roach. The secret? Boric acid mixed with sweetened condensed milk. Mix until it's dough-like, stick small balls in places where kids and animals cannot reach. The roaches take it back to their nests and it destroys them all. I grew up in a very old home and I only recall roaches once. My dad did this trick and I never saw them for another 7 years. Cheap and extremely effective. Edited for spelling is sweet and condensed. Hey, I thought it was funny. A few more edits. Thanks for precious metals, guys. I'm reading a ton of folks saying it works on ants too. Score. Also, yes, you can sprinkle bonic acid. Some saying borax works too. On the floor. But I like the balls because there's no dealing with the dust layer. To hide them, drop them behind a refrigerator. In a hole under the sink, above a kitchen cabinet. It is toxic to kids/pets. I was assuming so. Many say no. But I'd rather just keep them up and away and not have to find out. Don't need any diarrhea or vomiting in my life at the moment. I have no idea why it works for years. But I'm guessing it's because roaches feed on each other when they die. So the dead ones become poison to the living ones. So the ratio of dead ones continues to increase. Oh, and I'm not a man. Please don't ever delete this because one day if I have roaches, I will dig through my saved comments looking for this. Might not have to wait until roaches though, just because I'll randomly get a lot of ants for a week or so. Story 2. Never take I-90 through Chicago. My sister said to me in 2002. Yeah, okay, thanks, was my reply. In 2004, just over the border of Wisconsin, we stopped for gas. We were on day 3 of our drive back from Yellowstone, and had been on the road for almost 2 weeks in total. Funds were low, there was nothing left for another hotel that night. It was 11 a.m. Our calculations pre-GPS had us home at about 1 a.m. We looked at the map, saw the upcoming highway split, and were debating between heading straight for I-80 or staying on I-90. Well, the last sign said 90 minutes to Chicago. May as well have a deep dish pizza for lunch. Plus it looks like a more direct route. Mistakes were made. At 3 p.m. we had admitted defeat. There would be no lunch. The infinite traffic wouldn't allow for it. By 4 p.m. my will was broken. Pulled the e-brake, opened my door, and walked down from the middle lane to the ditch just after a bridge to relieve my pressure in my bladder. Shortly after we would say, frick this, let's just get out of here. That too was a mistake. The signs were in Spanish. The route back to the highway eluded us. We weren't sure what time zone we were in. We asked the guy at the corner at a red light, hey man, what time is it? I'll never forget his response, your mother. At 6:30 p.m., we finally drove past what is now guaranteed Ray Park, fully immersed in Chicago rush hour. An hour later, we crossed into Indiana. Broken people. We had an utterly forgettable pizza, got back on the road, and endured a drive home that lasted well past dawn. I told you to never take I-90 through Chicago, my sister said to me when I told her our tale of that day. She was right. I should have remembered that. A fellow Chicagoan here can confirm, this advice definitely helps. I feel like you should try to avoid Chicago as much as possible, at least if it involves driving. I've never been there myself, but oh boy, the stories I've heard from people that have. The fact that the pizza was forgettable really puts the final nail in the coffin of your story. I can imagine having to sit that long in traffic for meh pizza. Story 3. Think of a word that starts with your letter. Count to 8 again. Think of a different word that starts with that letter. Repeat ad nauseum. You'll distract your brain and bore it to sleep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I can't sleep, I pick up a subject and come with an example for every letter of the alphabet. Repeat as necessary. Albania, Bahamas, Cambodia, Denmark, England, France, Guyana, etc. Apple, blueberry, cantaloupe, durian, elderberry, fig, grape, etc. Anchovy, barracuda, carp, damselfish, flounder, grouper, etc. Insomnia is a jerk. I have had trouble sleeping in hotels, and I travel a lot for work. I've gotten into these songs on YouTube that use delta waves, and it's working miracles on me. I don't care if it's science or BS, and I don't even want to look it up because it's going so well for me. Edit, so tempted to rickroll the frick out of you guys, but this sleep track literally fricks me up. Edit 2. Seriously, I'm pretty stoked that this helps so many people. Anyone reading this, highly recommends you look through the responses to this comment and see all the different apps, websites, and tactics. Good luck and happy sleeping, everyone. I feel like a rickroll would help me sleep. That song is so soothing. Maybe it has those delta waves in it too. Seriously though, that's so cool. I'm so glad it's helped you, and you really piqued my interest. Might have to try it out tonight and see how it goes. Story 4. Practice gratitude. Grateful people are happy people. This includes just saying thank you anytime someone does something. Everyone likes to be acknowledged for something, even if it's something small. And just making other people a little happier makes you happier. And I imagine even just noticing how much others do for you is bound to help. So I usually cook dinner, but tonight I was in the middle of something when dinner needed to get started, so my husband did it. When I got my plate, I thanked him for cooking dinner. He said, I'm sorry, the pork chops are over-seasoned. I said, I haven't even tried them yet, but they're delicious. You know what the best spice is? Food somebody else cooked for you? Absolutely. I know he's not a gourmet chef, but I appreciate the heck out of somebody else cooking for me. If more people looked around and were more grateful for who and what they had, I believe the world would be a better place. So many people are worried about having the newest and best things instead of taking a minute and being grateful for the things they already have. Also, I can't agree more. Food cooked by someone else is just so much better. Story 5. Putting cold water on freshly shaved skin will make it so you don't get ingrown hairs. Some of the best advice I've ever received. How is this not common knowledge? I've struggled with ingrown hairs from shaving for years, and no one ever recommended this, not even my doctor. So much aggravation I could have avoided with one tip. It was part of the process when my dad taught me how to shave. Shave immediately after you come out of the shower. Your pores will be more open. Alternatively, fill the sink up with warm water and splash it on your face. Pat dry, shave. Wash your face with cold water. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moisturize. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is something I wish I knew when I was younger. It would have saved me so much trouble and pain. Story 6. As someone with a phobia of needles my entire life, finally, 30 years in, had a nurse tell me to ask for a spare alcohol pad and sniff it right as I'm about to get jabbed. She said the harsh smell is enough of a distraction to keep your mind off the needle. I was there for a flu shot, so I gotta try it out right away. I wasn't expecting much, but it worked. I've been doing it ever since and have no trouble with shots or blood draws now, which is huge for someone they've triggered panic attacks and near fainting in before. Edit, thank you for the silver. I hope this helps everyone as much as it helped me. Explain it to the nurse who's doing your shot/blood draw too. I always do in hopes they'll remember and use it next time they have someone who struggles with needles, and pass the knowledge along. Wow, that's something I've never thought of before. I might want to try this myself. Although I'm not too afraid of needles, they do rub me the wrong way. I do, however, have a friend terrified of needles, who I will definitely be passing this information on to. Story 7. My dad always told me, ask anyway. The worst they can say is no, when buying something or when I needed something from another person. Seems stupid to ask if I was sure they would say no, but I was also a socially anxious kid. Turns out the advice has helped me with school, with raises, with people in general, with plans with new friends. Another thing, a stupid question is better than a stupid mistake. I wish more folks in college knew this. The whole room doesn't understand something, but everyone thinks it will look stupid if they ask a question. Smart people are smart because they saw answers they didn't know. Reminds me of the saying, the man who asks a question is a fool for a minute. The man who does not ask is a fool for life. Story 8. From a YouTube video dictated by a heavily accented doctor. Unclog your nose by sitting up straight, holding your breath and tapping your nose. Untapping and breathing into about 80% of what you normally breathe in. Exhale and repeat for a period of about 40 seconds to a minute. The point is to get a response where your body almost feels like it's drowning. It's tough, but it clears your sniffles right up for a long while and works 90% of the time. And I went on to suggest it to so many people, but they won't even believe me or try even if they're desperate. Edit, my native Spanish was showing through. Used a false cognate. What I meant by tapping was taper, which means to cover. I just want to ask a serious question because I need this. When you say untapping, what do you mean? Turn your nose sideways to tap it for a 2-nostril manna. Turn it right side up at the beginning of your turn to untap it. Alright, but as someone who suffers from a very stuffy nose every spring and fall due to allergies, I need this in my life bad. Story 9. Don't have but two things. Hold but one thing. Pretty much everything Ron says has helped me on one point or another. I remind myself of this line constantly. I'm the type of person while cleaning who will pick up one item to put it where it goes in the other room. Then walking up the stairs, I'll see that the little stair mats are crooked on a few of the stairs, and struggle to straighten them while holding the first thing that hasn't been put back yet. I consciously stop myself, sometimes saying out loud one thing, and then I'm able to focus and remind myself to put the first thing away, and then come back to the stairs, and to put blinders on the other little things that I notice in between those two things too, lol. I also suffer from that. But what gets me more is when I'm cleaning and I find something I haven't seen in years, and then have to just stare at it and reminisce for a good 10 minutes or so. Story 10. Clean as you cook. Dishes right away and 10 minutes every day walking through the house picking things up/organizing. So much better than hours of cleaning on one day. Biggest game changer here. Prep your food. Start baking, cooking, boiling. Get on those dishes while it's cooking. Serve up the food, immediately toss leftovers into storage containers before eating, and get in soaking those pots and pans. Enjoy the meal, rinse plates immediately before food cakes on, and clean the remaining dishes. Clears up so much time waiting for things to soak and scrubbing harder. I've got young kids in grad school after work. This is the only way I can cook now and keep on top of dishes. Slack even one night and I pay for it severely the next day. I can get behind everything here except for immediately putting leftovers away. What if you want to go back for seconds, and you end up eating so much that you either have no leftovers or only a little bit? Then you have to wash the container it was in, and or wash it and get a smaller one. Story 11. That forest app. It grows a tree for up to 2 hours, and during that time you can't access any apps you think will distract you. If you want to open a distracting app, you have to kill your tree. All your trees, dead or alive, appear in a little forest. I've always had trouble motivating myself to focus on homework, and not to look at Reddit/YouTube, but this app is just enough guilt to not open them. I haven't killed anything yet, and I'm surprised at how much I can care about a small virtual tree. People told me about it, and I just completely assumed that I'd never use it or it wouldn't work for me, considering how distractible I am, but it works wonders. That is such a weird but awesome concept. After the 2 hours are up, can you close it without killing any trees? I'd assume so, but I'm extremely curious about this app now, and I don't even have trouble focusing. Story 12. Flip a coin and choose the one you're hoping for. I don't even have to flip a coin now, and I'm way more decisive. I do this a lot and it works amazingly well. You don't know what you really want unless you're put under pressure, even if said pressure is as small as a coin flip. By the way, I didn't know what to call it, so I said pressure. And if you still can't decide, go with whatever the coin says. If the two choices are that neck and neck, it's better to just pick something rather than spend time agonizing trying to pick the right thing. Also, if you pick something and it turns out wrong, that's a great learning opportunity. Then you'll have more information next time you make a similar choice. As someone who is terrible at making decisions, I actually have tried just doing coin tosses. Sometimes though I still end up picking neither and start obsessing about the choices all over again. Thankfully that isn't often though, mostly when I'm about to spend a good amount of money on something. Story 13. Keeping my shoulders back. It was a suggestion I saw for preventing panic/anxiety. I don't know what it is, but when your shoulders are in that position, it gives some strange feeling of control. I also read somewhere that during panic attacks, the body basically wants to curl into a fetal position for protection. So I feel like focusing on keeping your arms down and shoulders back is a conscious way to go against that and stay grounded in reality. Works for me. Could work for you too. That's actually some pretty solid advice right there. Story 14. Going to therapy. I'm a guy. I'm emotionally stable, so I thought it was a pointless idea. Went with my ex-girlfriend to work out problems in a relationship, mostly on her end. I learned so much about myself and got some amazing life advice. 10 out of 10. My ex-girlfriend, in order to work out problems in a relationship. Just because relationships aren't always endgame, that doesn't mean that they are failures. Sorry that it didn't work out with your ex even after therapy, but I agree, that doesn't mean it was a failure at all. You guys tried everything, you just weren't meant to be, and that's alright. Story 15. There's what you need, there's what you want, and there's what you can't afford. My dad says this all the time, and I never thought of it as useless. I just never used it. Now I have, and my money is far easier to manage. If you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. Jay-Z. My philosophy on playing RPGs as a kid. Story 16. Stick to the same sleep schedule on your days off that you follow on days when you have to be somewhere at a specific time, like school or work days. I spend my whole life sleeping until noon on weekends, thinking I was storing sleep in some imaginary sleep bank. I recently started waking up early on weekends, and now I don't have trouble waking up when my alarm goes off during the week. Plus, I have all this extra time to do stuff because I'm not sleeping all day. I'm so glad I don't have this problem. I'm always waking up earlier. The real problem is staying up too late. Story 17. One day at a time. It's been helping me stay focused in the now. My grandma, rest her soul, gave me a similar piece of advice, but with a variant. If you feel like you can't survive a week, focus on getting through one day. One day too much? 1 hour. Too much? 1 minute. Whatever it takes. If you can survive one, you can survive another. Edit. Reddit gold? Whoa, dude. Really all I can think is grandma would have been so happy to know that a lesson she taught me is being shared and hopefully heard by so many people. Is your grandma Kimmy Schmidt? That is such a great way to look at it. Your grandma was an incredibly smart woman, and I'm going to be using that from now on. Story 18. If it takes less than 5 minutes, do it immediately. I do so much less housework on weekends because of this. Edited to add, thank you for the golds and the silvers. This is my first gold and I'm stoked for this comment. I hope this has helped motivate others who are in the same boat I was a few years ago. Strive for progression, not perfection. The fact that it takes less than 5 minutes is what makes me spend a lot more than 5 minutes on it. I don't think pleasing yourself counts. Well man, I would hope not. Story 19. If you have a clogged nose, doing 8 to 10 push-ups will temporarily clear it up. Edit. Hey, thanks for the silver and the gold. Is this just to get me to try to actually do a push-up? One would assume, but no, it legit works. Excuse me if I sound winded in the next story. I'm about to try this out. Story 20. Fans on my old MacBook died. Saw a YouTube video that said to simply take your fist and bang it on the part of the computer that housed the fans. Thinking it was a troll, I gave it a shot out of pure frustration, and lo and behold, they purred back to life. And I never had another issue with them for the rest of the time that I owned that computer. Percussion adjustment is a magical tool that works more often than you'd think it would. TIL percussion adjustment. Knock until it works. Just gotta give it a special little love tap. Story 21. Cleaning your house before leaving for more than 5 days. Nothing is better than coming to a clean house. I travel a lot for work and can sometimes be gone for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. There is nothing worse than finally coming home and remembering how bad you left the place. I learned this real quick and made a point to clean up before leaving. Story 22. Faking confidence to become more confident. Edit. Thanks for the gold and the silver, kind strangers. I 100% agree with this. But where I have seen people go wrong with this is thinking that exuding confidence being a butthole. There is a very major distinction between them. I didn't even think about that. I've seen quite a bit of that too. But I'm not sure how to explain the line between the two well though. Ah yes, the old fake it till you make it technique. Story 23. Spend an extra $5 to $10 on wiper blades. Rock Auto commonly does closeouts for high quality wiper blades for like $2 to $3 a piece. The type you normally pay $20 to $30 for. I buy like 5 sets at a time to save on shopping. Spend less than $40 on enough really nice wipers to last me a couple few years. Edit. I have no affiliation with Rock Auto, just a customer. Someone get this guy a Rock Auto brand deal ASAP. Story 24. You're not hungry, you're thirsty. I would eat a big meal and wonder why I still felt hungry. It's because I wasn't drinking a glass of water with my meal. Now if I notice I'm hungry after eating normal portions, I have a glass of water and wait 5 minutes before I continue eating. As someone who can't eat without some water, I've never known about this being a thing. Story 25. It's better to lose a second of your life than to lose your life in a second. People on the road need to just slow down a little. It'll save your life. Edit. Thank you for the silver and gold kind, strangers. And stay off your goddamn phone. Story 26. Your gums bleed when you floss because you don't floss enough. Turns out if you floss enough, your gums won't be inflamed, so they won't bleed when you floss. It's true, or at least get an electric toothbrush. Source, I am a dental hygienist. So they aren't just lying when they say that. Story 27. Wash your dishes immediately after using them. It really helps avoid unnecessary clutter and you ending up like this. Why are you personally attacking me right now? I've got stuff going on the stove or something. I start washing dishes. Anything in the oven doesn't need my eye on it if there's a timer. So I might as well get some of the little stuff out of the way. Everyone in my family is always in awe of how clean my kitchen looks, but I've just been the equivalent of a cooking typhoon in there. Story 28. In regards to dating, you'll find someone when you're not looking. Sounds like total BS, but it's proven true for me a few times. Edit. This also assumes that you go to do social things sometimes. This will absolutely not work if you just sit at work/home all day. Should probably add that you need to be interacting with people in general for this to work. Extreme introverts shouldn't use this as an excuse not to go outside. Story 29. Stop chasing girls. Most of the times they notice me as an individual, not as someone begging for a girlfriend. Women want to feel like people, not prey. I always did so poorly at bars and parties. And my cool friend told me girls want to be with the guy who is having the most fun. It seriously was a night and day difference. I just started having fun and getting games going and being funny, and it worked wonders. Not only will that 100% get you more girls, but you'll also just have a better time in general. Story 30. Don't stop or change what you're doing when giving oral spicy time to a female. Specifically, at least for me, when I'm about to finish, don't suddenly go super hard. It's probably different for everyone, but man, the number of times I've lost an O because of this. So very true for both genders, I think. The thing you're doing that feels so good, don't change it when I get close. That's gonna be so annoying. Hopefully you talked to them and told them about it, so hopefully they can improve. Communication is key. Story 31. My doctor told me when I feel anxious or something like that, to wiggle my toes and count them for every wiggle. It's just something that distracts your mind, and you can do it anywhere because it just means moving your toes. Edit. I'm fairly new to Reddit and just got silver. Thanks, guys. Edit. I just got gold. Wow, this is so cool. I've never had this before. Thank you guys so much. I wonder how many people are watching this and wiggling their toes right now because of this. Story 32. My grandfather told me this and I never understood it until I had my own place. Always buy the cheap tools at first. And if you wear it out/break it, then you use it enough to justify getting a nicer, more expensive one. I guess with power tools and stuff, my grandfather used to say the opposite. I'm not rich enough to buy cheap things. I still have his tools. Think pliers, screwdrivers, files. Although a great way of thinking, might not work for most. Because if it just breaks, then you gotta go get another or a better one and spend more money. Story 33. Not taking your cell phone into bed with you. After a while, you will sleep much easier without the distraction and blue light shining straight into your eyes before bed. Sounds like a good idea. Me on my phone in bed at 10 p.m. Sounds like a good idea for tomorrow. Me on my phone in bed at 2 a.m. every night. I've been telling myself this a lot, and yet I'm still on my phone up until I'm going to sleep. Story 34. This too shall pass. On those days when I just feel like I can't take it, I think of that, and I know tomorrow will be different. Someone once told me tomorrow may not be better, but at least it will be different. In a strange way, that too is comforting. Story 35. When it comes to smoking cigarettes or weed, it's easy to do it all the time. Easy to never do it. Darn hard to only do it once in a while. I needed to hear this. Thank you, Papa. Story 36. Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. I thought depression is what you get when you don't get what you want. Depression equals experience. Story 37. Turn it off and turn it back on. This applies to everything that has a computer or any sort of electronic. People laugh at me when I ask them, have you tried turning it off and back on again? Yes, but when that's all your IT office knows how to do, turning it off and back on again is the best move you could do. More times than not, it works like a charm and everyone thinks you're some kind of electronic wizard for fixing it, when all you did was flip a switch. And if that doesn't work, the next best move is unplugging it and plugging it back in. Story 39. Compliment people behind their backs. Sounds stupid but works wonders. I never say this to her face, but she's a wonderful person and a gifted artist. Complimenting people to their face is also a wonderful idea. People need to hear some nice things about themselves every once in a while. Story 39. Directly expressing my needs instead of hinting. That is secret number 1 for a successful long-lasting marriage. Number 2 is marriage is work, but it's worth it. Edit. Thanks for all the comments, upvotes, and silver. Source, I am old, married for a long time. Please express your needs more instead of hinting, regardless of being married or not. Story 40. If you can tell that someone is going to hit you, tilt your head down. Teeth don't grow back. If they punch the top of your skull, they will probably break their hand. Always be drunk. Yeah, headache sounds much better than eating through a straw the rest of your life. Story 41. Gave up caffeine to help with anxiety. I gave it up to help with vertigo years after this was first suggested to me, but it did help. I'm still anxious as frick, but I'm not reacting to it like a hummingbird on cocaine anymore. Story 42. Fill your tank all the way up instead of a little at a time. The less fuel on my motorcycle, the easier she'll wheelie. Yeehaw, brother. Story 43. Life is really much easier if you clean your workplace/room. I clean my room often and it makes me feel calm and clears my head. No greater feeling than coming home to a clean bedroom after working late. As someone who hates cleaning, I really want this mindset. Story 44. Don't suffer future pain. In other words, worrying about all the stuff that could happen stops you from doing things, and worse, turns potential pain into actual worry and mental pain. Story 45. Unclench your jaw, open your hands, drop your shoulders, and breathe in. I just dropped my phone. Stop holding it with your mouth then. Story 46. Pay bills, save, then spend. In regards to saving, I was always told pay your bills, pay yourself, then spend. Story 47. Before I do anything, I ask myself, would an idiot do that? If the answer is yes, I do not do that thing. Story 48. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. I say this under my breath every time I'm tightening or loosening something. Really glad that isn't just something I do. Heard it when I was a kid and haven't stopped since. Story 49. Go to the bathroom first thing after having spicy time. Bold of you to assume I have spicy time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come, or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.